Today's bite-sized episode is sponsored by AG1, one of the most nutrient-dense whole food supplements that I've come across, and I myself have been drinking it regularly for over 5 years. It contains vitamins, minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, and so much more, and can help with energy, focus, gut health, digestion, and support a healthy immune system. If you go to drinkag1.com/live more, they are giving my listeners a very special offer, a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first order. See all details at drinkag1.com/live more. Welcome to Feel Better, Live More Bite Size, your weekly dose of positivity and optimism to get you ready for the weekend. Today's clip is from episode 278 of the podcast with natural lifestyle coach and record-breaking barefoot endurance athlete, Tony Riddle. Now, Tony believes that through connecting with nature and our natural state, we can experience greater health and happiness. In this clip, he shares a simple daily habit to help us calm the fight or flight stress response system and manage the buildup of daily stress. I think a lot of us don't realize that our daily experience of life is hugely influenced by the state of our nervous system, right? And if you are constantly upregulated, so your stress, your fight or flight system effectively is on a lot of the time, you're going to see things differently. You're going to be reactive. You're going to see danger when there is actual no physical danger, but you are going to see it and perceive it. And just understanding that when you downregulate, when you do 1 or 2 minutes of a simple breathing practice.
So simple, right?
You just experience the same situation completely differently. You're probably not going to get as triggered. You're probably going to make better decisions, all kinds of things. And you've used this term down-regulation, up-regulation. What does that mean?
Up-regulation is, we could call it fight, flight, freeze. So if the lion enters the room right now, roars at us, we will make a decision based on that. We're either, I imagine we're freeze, and assist the lion's digestion at that point. But that's the fight and flight response. And then through that, to simplify it, what can happen is the immune system, there's no point in fighting off a cold, right? So the immune system drops off. I need that energy elsewhere. Digestive system is a huge cost for digestion. So I'll drop that one off because I need the energy again, perhaps to fight or run away. Reproductive system's another one, right? No point in me producing another Bam Bam in the world if I'm going to be eaten by a lion, right? So those are very costly systems. So those will be dropped off to fuel my system to enable me to fight or flight, right? And then down regulation is this rest and digest. So a rested system, more associated with parasympathetic, that calm response where those systems are almost like rebooted in a way. And that should, if you think about it, should be our normal growth state where we are down-regulated. And then an acute response would be this sympathetic fight-flight as the lion enters, because the lion wouldn't always be in the room with us, right? Unfortunately, our lifestyles today, there's an imaginary lion in the room, right? It's there. And that for some is even an email or a phone call. And they're almost like bolt-ons, aren't they? It could be a late night. It could be a late night, then a phone call. It could be, I've got to go into a meeting. I'm a bit upregulated about the meeting. And then other stuff might be playing out from way back there that we haven't processed even. So the down-regulation within the book, I'm bringing those practices in so we can find ways of getting perhaps that rest and digest, that crystal clear state of mind, that growth-promoting mindset back. One person I worked with had a terrible relationship with her father, and would have to go and see him certain times of the year, but was so stressed about it. And I just said, okay, stop outside the house, work on the down regulation breathing techniques. Let's do the long exhales. The longer the exhale, the lower the heart rate, blood pressure. Let's try 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. 6 rounds of that, you're already at a minute. That's a minute. Yeah. Just take a minute. Okay, let's do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it takes. Get to the door, As you answer the door, you breathe out. As you enter the house, you breathe out, and you maintain that same rhythm of breath by nasal breathing. No one in the room knows you're nasal breathing or following a 4-6, but you're keeping down regulated. And she messaged back immediately afterwards and just said, oh my God, I just saw the experience as something completely different. Because her past emotions weren't playing out in that room from being upregulated. It's just like a simple down-regulation practice changed her experience with her father, right?
Yeah, I think this is so powerful, Tony. As a doctor, I know that around 90% of what we see in any given day is in some way related to stress. And I just don't think people really get stressed still and understand how stressed and how upregulated they are much of the time. In your experience, people who come to your retreats, people who seek you out for help, people you've coached, when they come and see you, what proportion of their daily life do you think they're spending upregulated compared to downregulated, compared to, let's say, an indigenous tribe who are living in nature with nature? Can you sort of paint a picture for us of what that difference might look like?
I can paint it from Bruce. So Bruce Parry has been with so many tribes now, documentary tribes, also TY. And I had a good chat with Bruce around the book as well, discussing Penin tribe and another tribe called the Benjeli tribes. They're mentioned in the book.
They are. I love that bit with the Penin tribe. I just underlined it. I thought it was wonderful.
Amazing story. And he just expressed this. He just said, look, you'll get it, Tony, because of this right and left hemispheres and being down-regulated and this state of meditation they're operating in like 24/7. It's like, even if they're in alert states, it's like an alert state that we would talk through the Wim Hof method, let's say, where you're using an upregulating breath technique, but not to bring that kind of upregulation stress, to become an alert state. So there's a positive to that. It might be, say we're having a slump in the afternoon, it's 3:30, I've got to jump on a podcast. I'll use another type of breath practice to just pick me up again. It just brings me up into an alert state. It doesn't mean I'm stressed out, but it's an alert, tuned in practice.
So it's like a stressed and focused, as opposed to a stressed and anxious.
Yes, it's a different mindset. So that's what Bruce was explaining, that these indigenous tribes, that again, they're moving through a landscape, but they're not separate to it. They're totally tuned into the frequency of it, right? That's where they're at. Again, if we look at people that maybe turn up on retreat, they've normalized stress. It's like that's what they operate at the whole time. So it's like these indigenous communities that Bruce is talking about are normalizing downregulation, parasympathetic, and some of the attendees I see have normalized sympathetic. You can put practices within your day, you just need little reminders, and sometimes that's all it takes. It's a reminder to breathe. It's a reminder maybe on the hour to say, everyone has a minute, out of your hour. Take one of the minutes away and just say, okay, here's 6 cycles of breath, just to reconnect to the breath again and to find myself within it.
So let's just talk people through that, because a lot of people have heard of breath work, they've heard of practices, they've heard it on this show before, but you mentioned one, the 4-6, right? So maybe just be super practical with people. On the hour, you're recommending that they take a pause and do 4-6?
4-6, 6 cycles. And sometimes, don't even get obsessed by the counting of it. There's a breathing app I've recommended in the past, and it has a sound that picks up for 4 seconds, another sound that drops off for 6 seconds. That's called breathing app. It's so simple, right? That's one. Or it can just be, if you put your finger on your pulse for a moment and you just inhale up through your nose, you'll notice there's a slight pickup of the pulse. As you exhale and you exhale for longer, you'll notice there's a dropping off of the pulse. So it's as long as you can inhale for and as long as you can exhale for, but to try and extend the exhale a little longer and practice 6 cycles, you'll be at around a minute, right? Prior to that, just try this. Wherever you're sitting, it could be on the floor, office chair, wherever you are, just try and relax the pelvic basin in your lower abdomen, because we're also very tense down there, right? So we're walking around very tense. So try and relax that area to begin with. Allow your jaw to settle and your heart to settle. Just tune into that very simple language. Relax the pelvic floor, the pelvic basin, the lower abdomen, the jaw, let the shoulders go and let the heart go. Even that, if you just even think of that, you're already a step there. Like immediately the moment I think of that, I'm like, oh, okay, I feel calm again.
Yeah.
It just comes in, drops in. And then you breathe into that space. Breathe into the relaxed jaw, breathe into the relaxed shoulders, breathe into the lower abdomen, the pelvic floor, and just allow all that being of you just to expand on the inhale. And then don't push your exhale. So you just allow your exhale to go as if...
Yeah.
So it's just allowing your whole being to be inflated with an inhale and allow the breath just to leave you. And that's 6 cycles. It's such a simple practice.
It's so simple, isn't it? So like an alarm on the hour, maybe on people's phones to remind them, like even if they're stuck.
Post-it note, boom, up on your screen, whatever it is. Just remember to breathe today. It could be, it's just little reminders. And we do need the reminders because again, once that stuff starts kicking in, the next email, the next phone call, and we find ourselves upregulated, we're already operating from a different system. Yeah. So sometimes we just need that little reminder, like a little tap on the shoulder from your favorite uncle or aunt saying, just remember to breathe now.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about that practice is that there's literally nobody who is listening to this podcast right now who couldn't do that. It doesn't cost any money, right? They don't have to buy anything. They don't need to get an app, really. You don't even really need to time it, do you? It's just a rough...
Yeah.
Approximation, roughly in for 4, out for 6, and just do that for a minute. And what benefits is someone going to get if they do that? Why should they?
I honestly believe that just those simple practices, like the inner work, I call it, but every relationship improves from you doing the inner work, including the one with yourself, right? So that will mean that every relationship within your work environment, a home environment, will improve via that. It could be like with the lady I'm discussing who enters her father's home, her relationship with her father improves from that, right? Just in that moment. Because again, she's seeing him differently. She's not seeing him from what might have been way back there in childhood even, because she's not operating at that subconscious layer. It's now she's entered as a conscious adult into that experience, not operating as maybe the 6-year-old or the 5-year-old back there, right? Yeah. I guess your ability to think clearly, precisely, so within a work environment, what do we want? We want to be on our game, don't we? We want to be able to articulate. We want to be focused. We want to be able to deliver on time or targets. And you can do all of that.
You're going to work better.
You just work more efficiently, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it in its simple form. But again, I think it's really down to, for me, it's the relationships. Every relationship improves. And with parenting, for instance, it might even be working from home. I have a studio outside the house. I have this really long commute these days across the lawn, right? But it's sometimes easy to forget that that's still a work environment.
Yeah.
And I'd suddenly enter the home and I'm still in the email or the phone call. So what can we do? Okay, we put everything down in that moment, breath work, just for a moment, a minute, then leave that experience and leave whatever it is in that space before entering the new space. Because again, the kids are waiting for you. They're waiting to see you. And who do they want to see? They want to see kind of, again, the upregulated papa or the downregulated papa, you know, who have they been waiting for? And believe me, like an hour or 2 hours is like a lifetime to kids if you've been in that environment.
It could be, I just can do 1 minute of down regulation breathing where my out breath is longer than my in breath in my car. And then when you walk through the door, your interaction with your partner, with your kids, it's going to be completely different. It can stop a lot of unnecessary disputes or arguments.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing for me, Tony, is I hear that. Why I think that's such a powerful practice also is because we get to work and we just start to accumulate a lot of the time stress and what I call micro stress doses. And if you don't do anything to down-regulate, you just keep going. Just keep going. And then by the end of the day, when you've finished, you may not have done anything to pause, to bring everything back down again. So by the time you then rock up at home after work, whether you're working from home or from an office, your state is completely different and arguably not the best state to then interact with loved ones.
I had this moment. I was staying at my friend's space in Somerset. We were there for 6 months, so we got to live in like a proper community experience. And there was one morning, I had a lot on, and I just thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the lake. I'm just going to sit at the lake. So I walked to the lake, did some breath. And in that moment, it was this simple language of, it's a choice, right? So you can choose to do the breath and appreciate the privilege, or you can choose not to and feel overwhelmed. And then I realised it was just a fine line between overwhelm and privilege. And what can help me navigate that path is just a simple breathing practice.
Hope you enjoyed that bite-sized clip. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be back next week with my long-form conversation on Wednesday and the latest episode of Bite Size next Friday.